Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show, the B-Ball basketball breakdown of sideline out-of-bounds plays. I'm very excited for this new, what should be a weekly show we're going to do, where I actually get into a little bit of the nuances of how certain plays are run, how you could maybe install them if you're a coach on your team, and just give you a basic, general, deeper knowledge of how all these things work together as a five-man unit, five fingers on a hand. So I thought it would be a great way to kick off the show. First of all, welcome everybody. And there's some interesting news today on the NBA front. And I want to answer some questions as well. So what we could probably do is talk a little bit about that trade that came up just an hour ago. I haven't even gotten my thoughts completely wrapped around it yet, but we will talk about that. But first, I got my presentation. So what do you say? If you have questions or insights or whatever you want to add to the breakdown in the diagram, then definitely throw them out there. I'm going to keep my eye on the live chat as well. And if you want, obviously, to get those to the top so I see them, then feel free. Super chat's the best way to do that. Thank you so much. Stay tuned as we will be launching a membership. I'm kind of wrapping my head around what we're going to do. It might be a little bit more of this. It'll also be more live shows where we just talk about the news of the day. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully you guys all want to be part of the membership and just even help me out because it's getting harder and harder to make all these monetization stuff work, and it would be a great way just to kind of be part of the conversation a little bit deeper. It won't be very expensive, and it would really help me out. Let's see. Somebody is letting me know. JJ is letting me know. No. Yes, that I'm at 799,000 subscribers, and I can't believe we're going to get to 800 really soon. Once I ramp up a couple more videos, we'll be there. So thank you so much. My Thanksgiving, late to you guys would be for being such great people to be in the conversation. So what do you say? Let's break it down. The coolest thing I want to talk about, though, is that Luceo Sports, the friend of the breakdown, Luceo Sports, has been gracious enough to let me get my hands on their app, which is the same exact app that a lot of NBA teams use in the huddle with their iPads. So when they're drawing up plays now, it's not just a marker or in a whiteboard and you've got all the scribbly scratch. These are literally, it's an app that has the numbers and the ball and the arrows and everything on there, and it animates. I'm going to show you in a second. So it's really, really cool. And it just gives you another deeper level of what it might feel like to be in an NBA huddle and see how the coaches work. It's going to change the game without question for every level. And I have a feeling that more and more teams from every level of basketball will be able to get their hands on this and use it for their teams. It'll be really a great way to do this, especially if you want to make sure your team, if you're a coach, knows all the plays. It could be called up on a laptop or on an iPad and then animated easily to see. So because all the the young kids like apps, they like animation, they like all those stuff. It works a lot better. So let's talk a little bit about out of bounds plays for a second before we get into the actual one I chose, because I'm kind of think that too many coaches just sort of overlook the value of an out of bounds play, especially if it's sideline or the baseline, because you have the defense positioned where you want them to begin with. And if you're just going to run an out of bounds play to get it in, then you're doing your team a disservice, because you have an opportunity to run something within 3 passes, 2, 3, 4 passes to get a shot. It's not always, you don't get that often. You might get that, 8, 10 times a game, and that could be the difference in the game. You might score out of 10 plays, you might score out of 6 of them, and you might win by 8. It's a really important piece of the puzzle there for enabling your offense to do better. I put some stats together, and I'll just tell you right now that when you look at the top teams from out of timeout plays, which include sideline out of bounds, baseline, and just if there's a timeout and the coach has driven up a play and they go on and play. If you look at the top people from last year, it's the Rockets, the Bucks, the Mavericks, the Clippers, the Wizards, and then the Nuggets. So you're talking about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top 6 offensive teams in the league are in the top 6 of the ATOs. And there's no doubt in my mind there's a connection there. And that also goes for the year before and the year before. So I didn't go back any farther. I don't need to tell you that when the teams are successful and they run their out of timeout plays efficiently, their whole offense works better and they're rated that well. And there's a causal effect there. Now, of course, we're going to have guys like Harden and Curry and Giannis out there doing their damage as well. But when you run really good out of timeout plays and you focus on getting points, it really really can make the difference and can give your team, if you're outmatched, it could give you guys a chance to level the playing field. So the first one I want to talk about today is, if you read, there's an article in ESPN that detailed a couple of coaches' favorite plays, and Steve Kerr had mentioned this, and it was rooted in what Phil Jackson had used with the Bulls, and it's called WTF. We're not going to say the whole thing because YouTube is going to penalize me for saying the bad word, but it's kind of interesting because Phil Jackson took it from when he played with the Knicks, or at least the basic idea in the early 70s under Red Holzman. And that's interesting because Red Holzman has ties back to like Tex Winter and the triangle offense and the way they ran their offense. And if you might not know, I'm a triangle offense coach. It's near dear to my heart. So I love the idea of being able to use triangle concepts as well in your out of bounds plays. And really what it ends up being more like is using your offense in your out of bounds plays. Well, why teach a whole other subset of plays when you have it built into your offense? So what do you say? Are you guys ready? Gigolo Puff is in the house. Always there to clean up the chat if we need it to. Thank you so much. It's amazing how you're there. And it's amazing how everyone is here. It's a little bit of a different kind of content for you, but I think you're going to love it. So let's do this. I'm going to cut to the actual app so you can see what it looks like. So we cut to here, and boom, there you go. This is what Luceo Sports, their app, it looks like, called Assist. And so as you can see, it starts out here with all the arrows and lines drawn, so it could be a little bit of a harder to follow, but when I animate it, you're going to see why, and then I'll be able to draw on top of this. So the basic idea that we saw from WTF in this ESPN article, where you had Phil Jackson kind of write it out on a napkin or whatever he wrote it out on, is basically this. So it's in sideline out of bounds play with the 4 inbounding the ball. Now, let's see how this works here. So I'm going to hit play, and we're just going to watch it for a second, and you're going to see... Okay, I'm going to slow it down because it's a little too fast. Let's make it the turtle speed. Okay, let's do that again. So here we go. Now, the key here is, if you can see, a back screen for the inbounder. But that's really not the biggest way to get this shot here, because as we play this through, and I'll go frame by frame, and tell me how this guy, is this all coming in through smoothly for you guys? I hope so. It looks like it is. So the key here is the action that's happening when the inbounder throws the ball to the 5. Okay, I'm going to mark this here so we can see this. So this is another great part of this app, is I can now go to the marker board. So we see the 5 has the ball. Ignore the 2 should be black, whatever. I must have messed that up when I programmed it. So what's happening here is the 2 sets this back screen here, and the 4 is going to cut off of there. Now, I would say the first look you might want is to look for the backdoor pass, and you throw it to that back to the inbounder for the shot. A lot of times that's open because the guy inbounding the ball gets forgotten about when they're guarding. We've seen it before in the past where who's ever guarding number 4 will start to move over toward number 5, maybe try and get a steal. So the guy who's guarding, we'll call him X4 here, ends up being he'll move over here a little too far, and then he's really susceptible to that back screen going to the basket. But that's not really the key, and you'll see the Warriors run this a lot. The Warriors run it where this is Steph right here. Number 2 is Steph. So Steph is setting the back screen. Now, after this guy comes off, what they do is they swing the ball to the 3, and then Steph gets his own screen from the 5 here and comes around. Okay? Now, when you have Steph set a back screen and then come off of a cross screen, he's probably going to be wide open. If you have a shooter you want to get open, usually the best thing to do is to have him set some sort of back screen. And when I say a back screen, I mean a screen where you're setting it for a backdoor cut. Your back is to the baseline. So let's look at that again, and we'll go a little bit more frame by frame now. So as you see here, generally, if you're the 5 here breaking up from the corner, you should be able to get that ball in. And the NBA, a lot of times the 5 guy guarding the 5 is a little bit lazy. He'll kind of let him go. So you might need to do a little stunt or something if you're in the lower levels to get this 5 open. But usually they'll let you release the pressure up away from the basket there. And so the ball comes into the 5 above the 3-point line. And then that's the timing of this, is when the 2 will then come up inside the back screen and the 4 cuts off. Now, what's going to happen away from that is 5 is going to reverse the ball to the 3. Now, here's the other thing that is interesting. is the 3 might not necessarily be open if he just kind of cuts and tries to get open, because certainly in high school we see a lot of teams love to pressure the ball and love to deny one pass away. So what we have here in the very beginning is 1 on the top is a bit of a decoy. So let's go back to our marker so we can see this. 1 is a bit of a decoy on top, and you usually think, oh, he's the guy that everyone wants to go to. But instead what happens is, as the ball gets thrown into the 5 here, who's up here now, the 1 is going to get a back screen from the 3. Now, again, remember, who's ever guarding the 3, we'll call him X3 here, usually has to step over a little bit to help on that back screen, just to make sure that 1 isn't open, as X1 is going to chase and try and do his best to get around that. Well, that means that the 3 should be able to get open after he sets the screen here, and then boom, cut up and get open. Does that make sense? His man will have had to step down a little bit here, and that gets him open. And so that's why you can make the 5 to the 3 pass. So there's the 5 to the 3 pass after that cut and that back door. Now, you can see what's happened is 4 is about to clear out of there. And now 5 is going to then come and set a screen for 2 on the weak side here. He jumped a little bit, but anyhow. And then that's where you're going to see Steph Curry and the like get that shot off of off that pin down. So if you can picture that's Steph Curry setting a back screen, getting his own cross screen, and then getting an open shot. Meanwhile, you're occupying the defense with the 1 and the 3 by their actions over here. So let's just go back one more time and watch it. So here's what you could do in the timeout is quickly queue it up. On the left side, you have all of your options, and they can all be sorted a lot easier. Or you could search, and you just basically can say, this is you. Now, I can change these numbers to names if I need to, or initials. It's really easy to do that. And so basically what you get here is a great way to see the timing of everything. So if you're going to work on this and show this to your team, let's say, you could send it out to your team and they can watch it a number of times. And this is how they get the perfect timing of it down, when to go, when not to go. I know certainly there are plenty of times where I've had to step on a player's foot in practice just so we won't move until the right time. Because, players get so excited they want to just cut and move before the action has enabled them to. So let me quickly run over to the thing here, to the live chat, and see. We have any good questions here. Don't worry, we'll talk about John Wall and Russ and that trade in a few minutes. But I want to go to what we're talking about now. Let's see here. A lot of hey, anybody have any questions about what's happening here? Let me just see here if we have. Okay, anybody have a super chat will get my attention right away. But let's see here. Let's see here. Anybody? I'm going to quickly scan through this and then. What software is that? It's called, this is, the app itself is called Assist. It's actually 2 different apps that work together, but it's by Luceo Sports, and they're the ones who have been developing this. And they're in a lot of different markets as it is now, even in the high school level. So you could check them out and see if your high school affiliation has it, because I believe they have a deal right now where if you're in one of their, negotiated associations for high school, you can get it for free. Anyhow, I'm not really, Gigolo Pup points it out that the WTF Basic is a great name. It's interesting because Steve Kerr even said he didn't want anyone to yell the word out, with people in the stands, so they just shrug instead. It's unclear why they call it WTF either way, but you'll definitely see a lot of options where the back screen for the inbounder is a common action you see in a lot of sideline out of bounds plays, and they're for a good reason. So we have a good question here about options versus switching defense. So the key here about switching is when you have a guy setting a back screen, it's a great way to defend a switch. Because if we go here and watch the back screen, let me go back here. Oh, did I not? Let me go back to W. Okay. So when we come here to the, let me get this marked up here. Okay. So when we come here to the 2 setting the back screen for the 4, okay, if they want to switch this, then that leaves the 4 susceptible. The guy guarding 4 will get this screened pretty easily, and that will get 2 open. So that's it's kind of built into the mix there. When you have a switching defense, is when you screen and get a screen, a flex action, if you will, although it's out on the perimeter. Those are great ways to combat the switching defense. Now, a lot of times what you might end up happening is both the guy guarding the 4 and the guy guarding 2 will both go to the cutter. They'll both go like in this area. And now 2 is wide open coming around for that shot. So that's a really great way to get that. Now 2 could also cut back door on this too, and so can 5. So let me clear this up here. If let's see if we can get a little bit farther on this one. Okay, so let's do it from here. If so you can, an interesting thing here is 5, x5 might want to switch this, and pick up 2. So this is where he cuts backdoor, and then boom, right there. 3 is surveying the whole. 3 sees the whole floor. He's got on top. He should have enough ball handling skills. Obviously, your small forward usually does to see that floor and make that pass. It shouldn't be a hard pass. And if 5 feels like his man is now going to sneak up to this area here, and then x2 is trailing. I need to get you know what? I need a super chat for so I can get one of those pens. If 2's coming up, then x5. Let me clear that off again. If 2 comes up, his man might also be trailing. His man here might kind of step up, and that leaves 5 to cut right there to the baseline 2. Okay, now that means a 4 he has to be out of there and be cutting through if he doesn't get the ball initially on that. He'll be gone by then, and if 4 comes over, 1 bumps up like that. And that's a good rule you might want to have in your offense is if you're in the corner kind of standing and a guy is cutting toward you, a teammate, just bump up to the wing. Then you can fill the wing in the corner. So there's that one. How do you catch and shoot? Good question. Just hop. That's my preference. Lift both feet in the air when the ball's on your way, and then you catch, you spring up into the shot for a nice quick release with great rhythm. What are the options for 1? So 1 is kind of a decoy, and we'll go back and we'll look at 1 all the way from the beginning. So if you see now 1 really ends up going to the corner and staying there. And he's waiting. This could be a shooter. So all the action as it collapses the defense could ultimately then open up a kick out to him. But I'm going to show you some other options where we get other players involved too. So how are we doing so far? Does this all make sense? Let's see here. Where did you get those player prints in the back wall? Another good question. So those are from Displate, another sponsor of mine. Awesome stuff. They go on with magnets. You can mix and match and move them all the way around. It's really cool. So check them out, displate.com. And let's go on to our next option. What do you say? Let's see. Eduardo says, Coach Nick, my high school play is similar to this. The difference is the inbounder is 4 and 1, and 3 is on the weak side, creating elevator door. Well, just you wait and see. I got something for you if you like that. Now, remember, you can mix and match these positions. It doesn't. I just use numbers practically, right? Now, obviously, the 2 would be like a shooter. That's who you want to have there. And your 3 should be, could be your point guard too, a good ball handler. And then obviously the 5 and the 4, you can interchange those guys. Who's a good finisher at the rim could be 4 because he might get that backdoor screen. So you can mix and match. Guarding plays like this is a really tough one because there's so much happening here. I would say don't let the ball go to the 5 in the beginning, okay? So in the very beginning of this, where the 5 just cuts up, I would probably try and deny that as well as I could. Maybe even have the guy guarding the 4. Let's see if I can mark this up. If the guy guarding X4, could probably, shift over a little bit here. He's got to be careful because, right, if it gets in, he's going to get back screened. So you want to be careful on that. But that would be a good way to break it up in the very beginning. Usually taking away that first pass in any kind of offense when you see that the progression tends to do a lot to an offense, especially at the lower levels like high school. So let's go on to our next thing here because we got a couple more options I want to show you. So this one is, that's interesting. Okay, this one's pistol. The names got changed, but that's okay. Let me make sure that one's okay. The names are not changing on the top. Okay, well anyway. So here's another one. This is pistol action you can get out of this. So if you're with me, if you remember what pistol action is for me and how I kind of encapsulates 2 different things, but pistol action tends to be a handoff into a ball screen, if you can picture that, which is basically 2 ball screens in a row almost, right? But a handoff is almost like a moving ball screen, much faster. I like those more anyway. So what we'll see here is I'm going to let it play, and then we'll see what happens, and I'll walk you through it. So 5 cuts up just like the same way we do normally. So this all starts the same kind of way, right? 4 passes the ball to 5. And now 2 players have the ball, but that's interesting. Okay, and then 4 is going to cut back door just like he'd normally do with the 2 setting the back screen. But watch what happens across the top here with 5 and 3. This becomes a dribble handoff. So the 5 doesn't have to sort of make that pass to the 3. He can dribble toward him, and that's the trigger for the next progression. So everybody sees the 5 dribbling to the 3. That's like, oh, this is our next progression for the Pistol. So that means that 2 sees this. Now 2 hasn't changed his route. If you notice, he's coming up like he would normally to catch the ball, but because the guy's coming off a handoff toward him, he simply does a step-up screen like we would see here. Now, remember when I said earlier about what happens if you're in the corner, like check out where 1 is, and the 4 starts coming toward him. He'll just bump up, and now look at this. You have a pistol action up top going toward the basket, and 3 has all the room in the world to attack with great spacing around the perimeter, and it's all built into that. So this is a really great way to do that, and it's predicated again on that 5 deciding that he's going to dribble handoff instead of pass the ball to 3 after he sets the screen. So this all starts the same way. This is what I like about this is when you can have like, a play like your smartest player, he could be the trigger, right? The 5 has control, which is why you realize how much control these guys have. Certain players in certain positions of an offense at any one time can change the entire tenor of the possession based on what they do and what options they have. So the 5 here is the guy. So you can see here, when he starts to dribble pitch over here and the 3 comes around, remember, when you dribble handoff like that, it's usually a pretty easy play to make, right? You're kind of going right at number 3's, the 3's defender, and he's going to have to foul you if he tries to sneak in there. If you run it right, you should always be able to get this pass back to the guy pitching back away from the basket. Now, once that happens, 2 steps up and he comes off of that screen. So he's got a handoff into a screen, great spacing, and we have now 1 and 4, spotting up, ready for the shot. And again, you can flip this where if you want, if 1 is a shooter and 4, you don't want your 4 to be a shooter, then flip him out for 3 or 2 and then have the other guys move. Now, the key here is who starts, let me go back, is who starts on the weak side elbow, because that's the guy who's going to get the handoff into the ball screen. So this guy is crucial, who you start at this elbow. Let me go back. So this is the crucial guy here, and that's the Scottie Pippen or whoever you might have on your team, the Durant, all those ball handling small forwards that you like to be able to get into action. It's a great way to do this. Let me check the questions here. That wouldn't be possible. All right, let's see here. Yes, Miami and Denver always do these pistol actions. Absolutely. Any kind of you see a lot of handoffs, they end up morphing even, organically into ball screens out of that. And it's really the key. What we learned from the Spurs back in 2014 was it's not good enough to just call a high pick and roll right off the bat, because the defenses are practiced to that and they know they're already in position to defend that better than they would if you get them moving a little bit. And that's where that ball handle, the dribble handoff comes into a real handy there, because you're moving the ball one direction, then it snaps right back when you hand off, and now everyone's going the other way. Boom, you hit him with a screen. You can slip it. You can roll. So many actions out of that. You can pop off of that in different ways. And there's so many. In fact, what you could almost do is on this one, let's see if I can, let me get a little farther. You can have watch this. So after, let's see if I can get a little farther. Okay, so let me mark this up. So after let's see here, the 5 had just handed off, he could then turn, he can dive to the basket here while 2 comes out. It's sort of a high-low and separate the defense here, looking for the roll and then and the lob. You can get 2 and 5 screening for each other here a little bit too. And get some interesting stuff where the 3 can dribble over, string it out more to the wing, and then the 2 pops out. Maybe the 5 screens for him there as a flare screen. Let me draw that? No one. So the 5, after the 5 hands it off, he can come and set a flare screen for the 2, and the 2 can come over here, and the 3 can throw a looping pass to him. We saw Ray Allen do this a lot, where Ray Allen would set that ball screen and then get his own flare screen off. It's a great action that could be organic as well. So. And then, I definitely see Duncan Robinson doing this kind of stuff. It really is a great play. And again, it's predicated on the handoff into ball screen. So let's go to the third option I designed here, because I thought, again, you could spend hours on this app with Luceo Sports, the assist app, and you could spend hours just making it, creating new plays. That's the fun part of this. So let's go to this option here. So this is, I put a hammer play because I thought, let's see if we can make that happen, because of course I love hammer, which is basically when you set a flare back screen on the weak side generally, and you drive baseline and then throw the ball all the way like a hook pass underneath the basket to the weak side corner. So let's see what happens. So again, I was just kind of having fun this afternoon doing this. So here's how it starts. we see now at this point the trigger for this, because normally what was happening, right? The 5 was cutting up and getting the pass. So if you want to tweak this, then you can change who gets that pass first. And it's not really good enough in my mind to just have like the 3 cut up to the top. So I have the 1 set a pin down for the 3. So you see that? There comes the 3. That gets him open for the ball. Now, once he gets the ball, 1 will then turn around after setting that pin down, and he sets a step-up screen for 3. Now, the 2 still does what he was doing, which is setting that back screen for the 4, but guess what? It's a hammer screen now because we're getting this action here driving toward the baseline on the left side, and then we're going to see 3 come all the way across and then look to hammer pass to the 4 for the open shot. This, I would think, would work really, really well. Now, the key here is if you want to combat that is, or if you need a way to make an adjustment off of this is, if teams get wise to this, a lot of times X2 is going to cheat or move over or call and switch, and X4 is probably in this little area here. He gets stuck in there, and that's when 2 can slip that screen, and now the guy coming across here can go boom right there for a layup. Okay, really easy to get that shot. And if not, if he maybe 3 has a shot all the way to the basket here or the pull up, and then we have 1 who set the step-up screen can then pop here. So what I like here is he can dribble to the baseline, stop, pivot, and then throw it right back to 1 for the shot. That's a great other way to get another shot. A safe pass. If number 1's man starts to look at the ball, is not paying attention, he can get wide open. But this is the real spot here. That kind of pass, you can practice that. Now again, you can flip this if you have a righty and you want him to throw a right-handed pass. He can just about, I kind of did it in bounds, but a lot of times you'll see this guy get all the way out of bounds and then throw that pass. It's totally jump out of bounds and throw it. Who cares? If you need a better angle to get out of bounds and you get in the air, you're perfectly allowed to do that as long as you get the ball out of your hand before you touch the ground. So let's see, here's a question. What if the 3 is not that great in terms of handles, but the rest of the team matches the play? Some 3s are like LeBron if LeBron could not shoot. So if it's not, then you just put whoever does have the handles, put him in that position on the weak side elbow. That's the key. So, I kind of like the 3 because maybe he's a little bit taller, he can see better, whatever, but if he's not the best ball handler, kind of passer, facilitator guy, then just put your best facilitator there, and that should work at whatever level you are. That's a great question. And again, that's the beauty of positionless basketball. Let the 5 get a ball screen, right? His man probably won't be used to guarding that anyway. You get a lot of stuff out of that. So if I were going to drill this, I would say what I would end up doing is, let me see here. I meant to do this and have a clean one. Let's see here. Can I get a clean? I have some other ideas. What is this? You know what? Let's have fun with this. No? Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a blank court. I forgot. Okay, so let's do a blank court. Can we all see this? Another one of these great things. If you all of a sudden on the fly want to create a play in a huddle, boom, here you go. Here's the thing I would do if I was doing drills, right? I'd have a line here, out of bounds, and I would have, I'd basically have him pass the ball, have a guy have another line here, cut up and get the ball, and then just practice this. Just boom. Back door. And by the way, he doesn't have to go on the weak side. He can go on the strong side too. It's a shuffle cut. But practice this play and just get the motion of it down, the timing of it, when the 2 comes up, when he shouldn't come up, when the 4 goes. You can actually play with this too. You can wait a couple seconds and then go. 2 can wait. You can play with that because you still have time on this play. And then what you can do here is, what was I going to say? Let me clean that off. Oh, is that going to go away? Let's see here. Yeah, so the key here is if you get your lines going, you have a line here and then you have a line here. Basically you need 2 lines. You can have one guy just sort of play this position and have him. This could be even the coach. Actually, or you could put a 3rd guy in there. The key here is once you get it going without defense for a little bit, get it going live. Just do this little 2-man action with the back screen live with defense and let them get used to that. And so that's basically how I drill all of these plays. I just take little pieces of it and we drill little 2-line, 3-line drills, 4-line drills, and we focus on that. But the key is, trust me when I tell you this, the key is to make it as live as possible, as quickly as possible. And don't be afraid if it gets chaotic and people start throwing the ball all over the place and they start moving all over when you don't want them to. That's where all the learning comes in a lot quicker. So do not think that you're doing them a service by like running the same old 2-on-0 drills all over the place. There's the notion of that for a warm up, and you can get shots to get out of your offense, which I like, but you got to get, you have to get, you got to have to get defense on there and make it live. So I just want to share, hang on, I'm going to share one more tweet so we let everyone know that we're out here and bring some more people in here. What do you say? Let's retweet that one. So let me see if there's any questions real quick before I keep moving on and to discuss more of this. So thank you, Tabo Ali. That's a nice thing you said. What program, Paul? This is called Luceo Sports, is the one who designed it. It's called Assist, is the name of the app I'm using right now. And let's see, any other questions? Awesome. Brazen, I'm glad that you like this kind of content. It's new, it's different, but hey, I want to try this once a week and do some in-depth stuff and talk to you guys about the different kind of plays. So don't be shy. Ask some questions if you want. I'll get in there. Or even suggest some ideas. If anybody has a good idea from this, then you know, shout it out here. And by the way, I noticed that, you know, Tavo was saying the KG Ray Allen. If you just so you know that the Ray Allen play, if he was Ray Allen, he sets the back screen, right? And then what we had him do, then we had him set a ball screen, right? And the ball came around here. And then the big, let's call it 4, would set this flare screen for Ray Allen, who would flare out to there. This is a little bit higher level stuff, right? This is probably not, I mean, you could probably do this for varsity. I don't see why not. And then this guy right here, the ball is here. He would throw it, a little bit of a looping pass to Ray for the shot. I mean, I've seen guys run elevator plays really well at the high school level. There's no reason why you couldn't do it there. And again, so if you were going to guard plays like this, and then by the way, the other part of this you can really practice too is even just starting the ball here with a drill and just getting used to, no, I'm sorry, let's do it the other way. Starting the ball here. And by the way, it's not a bad idea to do on both sides and practice it mirrored. But, you know, dribble handoff to a player here, and he comes off, and then have a third player set the screen, okay? And then run this as a 3-man, 3-on-3. Okay, and then you'll see that your players will naturally, you know, invent their own actions out of this. It's really exciting when you watch them to do that, to watch your players do it. Give them the power to do it. So can we see the flexibility of Popovich's horns versus for varsity? Well, I can prepare horns for another show, but right now we're just talking about the WTF on the out of bounds. Just to show you, I do have some other ones I prepared from before with a different alignment. So if you can see this one, this is another WTF basic where I have the shooting guard inbounding it. We have the 5 way in the weak side corner. Let me go and mark this up so we can just at least talk about this for a second. So 2 starts is the guy inbounding, 5 is in the weak side back here. And then we have a little bit of a different way of running this, but the same idea, which again is the 4 sets the back screen to here. And this is the action that's going to get all that stuff going from there, setting the back screen for the inbounder. So let's see how this plays out. So the 3 comes around to set the screen to get the ball there. There comes the 4 setting the back screen, 2 comes around, and then bam. That's obviously the first look you want to get. And if you can get that a lot of times what happens is, you know, this guy, let me go back to the marker. By the end of this play, let me go back. Let me get to the end of the, let me do this. Here we go. Let me get to the end. No. All right, let me go to the end real quick. Okay, so there. Now, 2 has the ball here, and he's collapsed the defense. X3 probably turns his head and moves around to whatever. X5 is certainly going to help over here. So he can easily dump it off to 5 for the layup, or he can kick it out to the 3, which I probably like even better because 3 gets the shot, and then 5 can slide in there. I don't want that. 5 can slide in there and get the offensive rebound because his man had to help. Man, I need a pen, people, so I can write with this better. Trust me, I have better handwriting than this. So that's another option you can do where you can spread the floor in the initial part by getting the 5 on the weak side. And then there's other options out of this. There's, let's see here. There's this one where, okay, same idea. It's cross screen away, ball's inbounded. 2 comes off of here. And then, oh yeah, this is the pinch post option. So this is what I really like about this. I'm always looking to get triangle offense action. So the pinch post, don't forget, is one of a great way when you throw the ball to the high post and then you follow your pass back around to the high side. So let me show you where that is right here. let me mark this up. So 1 has the ball here, and you know what? 4 is probably, 4 should be here. So 1 throws the ball there, and then he follows for the pass back on a little handoff. This is devastating, this kind of action, because the defense, you're sprinting into a catch. You're not far from the basket. You can turn the corner. 4 can roll to the hoop here. He can pop out for the shot there. In fact, 4 could hand off to 1 coming around. But then he could follow and set a ball screen, and 1 can come back around in a 2-man game on that right side. It's open. You can do a lot of things off that pinch post, and I love to be able to create that kind of stuff. So remember, it always helps your offense if you can sprint into a catch. That's what we want to do. No more of the triple threat stuff. We want to be able to attack on the catch if you're standing still catching it, and we want to be able to have an option where you're sprinting 15 feet and then catch it and go. That's where you get those breakdowns to the middle and the kickouts for the threes and the help and rotation for the bounce pass to the layups. That's the name of the game. That's basketball. That's what we want to see. And you can do all sorts of things out of that. And when you're practicing that too, again, these are the kind of drills you'd want to have in any offense. Let me go to the blank court. Any offense, you have drills where you have your line here and you have a line here, and the first guy comes out, and the first guy in the line cuts to the pinch post area. He passes it there, and then runs around, and you can just do that. Now, again, get that going without defense first to get them used to it, but then you better get some defense down there and have them just play. Teach them how to do 2-on-2, and then you can build it to 3-on-3 with another player in there at different positions. That's how you build from the part method into a whole offense. Now, some guys might argue they don't have a lot of time to do that. It does take a little bit of time to develop that. I know in Los Angeles, when I was coaching here, we had from the first day of school full-on practices. And, we might have been missing a cross-country runner or a football player or 2, but we had most of the team ready to go, and then, we could plug them in pretty quickly. And in fact, if we had to, when they plugged them in the middle of the season, we could go back to these drills without the defense for them, just like they were as a warm-ups, and then get them on the defense as quickly as we could. So this is all great stuff you can get. I got one more option out of this I want to show you. Let's see here. So same idea. Screen away to get them open. And then, boom, there goes the pass to the 1. Same back screen here. Now, we have the 1 comes up. Okay, same. Oh, I know. This is right. So this is the other flow out of that pinch post action here. So if you see what happened here, 1 throws it to 4 and cuts around looking for the pass, doesn't get it. So 4 dribbles toward the 3 and hands off to him. And now we've got all sorts of stuff happening here where he can get a kick to the left corner. He can get a kick to the right corner. He can swing, hit the 5, ducking in there. It's a lot of great stuff you can get out of this, which is really exciting because this action, let me go back to the whiteboard, is when you do, let's see here, when the 4 cuts up, 1 passes it here and comes around, okay? If the 4 fakes this pass here, then, and the 4's man usually will move toward the 1 thinking, I got to cover the cutter. He can go right to the basket. Or the very strict triangle option would be you put a player, let's say here, then after 4 fakes it, he simply dribble hands off to 3. And that's where you get all that middle penetration into the lane here, and you spread your shooters immediately on that action, and now you got a lot of great possibilities for shots, either from the 3 scoring or whatever. Now, that kind of a drill would be an awesome thing to run, where you have players here, players waiting to come on here, and a player up top, and then so the first guy comes in on the top, this guy cuts up, you know what I mean? Boy, let me erase that. Erase this. All right, let me go back. So he makes the pass and then follows it around. Now, after he comes around here, my rule in the triangle was you go to the strong side corner. Just keep that as a rule for spacing. Really helps everybody find their spots on the perimeter. So let's go. If not an end game, let me grab some questions here real quick. Kenneth, my pleasure. Thank you for being part of the conversation so far. If not an endgame situation, run your sideline out of bounds to get the ball in and get your right into your offense. I don't agree. I feel like you should run your sideline to get a shot. And in fact, I used to not threaten my players, but I'd say, I'm going to take you out if you don't shoot this shot. Literally, if it gets to your hands out of our out of bounds play here, this has to be a shot. I don't care if you're guarded. I don't care if it gets blocked. That's the shot. Usually that's like the third or the fourth pass, after that. But you should be able to be, your focus for the team should be 2 passes, 3 passes, and you're into a shot out of your out of bounds plays, either baseline or sideline. That should be the focus. You want to get shots out of this offense, out of your actions. Are you guys actual b-ball coaches? Well, I don't know. Actually, interesting question. I wonder how many coaches we have here. But if you are, then make sure you tell your friends, because let's do this every week, and let's get even more people in here. It's a ton of people as it is. Let's see here. Yes. No. See, Kenneth talks about whole part whole method, and I used to argue with Tex Winter about this because he's the inventor of the triangle offense and my mentor. I think with him, because he had limited time with the NBA stuff, he would show the whole thing and then break down into parts and the part and then go back whole. I always felt like it was a lot better just to start part. Start small and then build. If you have, even if it's like a college program and you only have like 2 weeks, you have enough time. You can do this if you have, your practices scheduled perfectly and done right. You have enough time to do that in a couple of weeks and put together the whole thing, starting part. And I got to tell you, once the players start to assimilate, like if they get lost, you're like, hey, remember that 2-line drill we did over there, that action? And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's all we're doing right here. And to see the light bulb go off and they get it, it's like it's worth the extra time you took to do it part method first. Let's see. Didn't Murray and Jokic utilize a lot of weak side action in the playoffs? And can duos like D'Angelo and Cat run the same? Yes. Now, Cat is great at this. Cat would be great at doing the handoffs and popping because he can shoot and he can handle the ball. I don't know what's going to happen in Minnesota. I haven't even gotten my eyeballs on them. They kind of were a lost season for me this past year. So I'm anxious to see how they do. But yeah, there's no question. And that's what makes Murray and Jokic so special is that pinch post action I showed you that Murray throws it to Jokic and then cuts off of him and gets it back, or Jokic turns around and hits him with a bounce pass after that. The heel synergy, awesome. I'm glad this is helping you. Welcome, little H. Do I need a mod to moderate? You know what? I don't need a moderator because Gigolo Puff is always there, ready to be the man. Let's see. What's my favorite sideline out of bounds play? That's a great question. Here's one that I really like that I used to use in my high school team. I stole from Popovich. Was basically I'd have my shooter. Let's call him 3. And I'd have my center here, and let's say we'll inbound the ball, whatever, from here. Whatever. I'm sure I had a guy in the corner and wherever else I had the other guy. But the key of it was I would have the 5 set a flare screen, and then all of a sudden the 5 would turn around and then set a screen right back, and 3 would snap back to the ball and get it open. That really worked well for us. So I really like that sort of misdirection, snapbacks, and that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that really, get the defense confused, even at the highest levels, where they get through that first screen. Oh, I got it, no problem. This is a flare screen. It's not going to go anywhere. And then, oh crap, they're now cross screening me, taking me out. Now that second screen after the 5 sets that screen. Let me show this again. Another cool thing about this is. So the 5 sets the back screen here, and the 3 goes here. Then when he comes back to here, and then the 3 comes around, that's when he can, boom, dive to the hoop, and you can maybe get something like that there. Now, one of my rules defensively, at least for the sideline of bounce play, just parenthetically, is never, ever, ever let the team inbound the ball. If the ball is being inbounded here, never let it be inbounded to the post. This is like death for the defense. Never let it get there on the first pass. That's like a rule of superstition, whatever. It really helped us. Coach, I'm going to make sure I am in stream. I feel like I learned a lot. And by the way, this will be a regular video as soon as we're done, so you can always watch it again if you want to absorb it. Which NBA coach runs the most triangle offense? Well, off the top of my head right now, it's Thibodeau, who did it in Chicago more than anybody would have believed. And he still had a little bit in Minnesota. So we'll see if he continues to do that. But let's see. I would say D'Antoni has a lot of triangle stuff in his Pistol 23 stuff, or 21 stuff. And Steve Kerr obviously still has some, but they've lost a little bit. They used to run more pinch post stuff. They don't do it as much. But they do some. And then you'll see some. Mike Malone in Denver has a lot of it, like any kind of the high post stuff. Yeah, I would argue the Heat as well. So those are the teams. And by the way, it's no surprise. Those are the teams I like to watch. Right? They move at the ball. The ball moves quickly. let's see here. Oh, can I break down the Anunoby game? You know what? I'm not prepared. I don't remember. Although, wasn't the Anunoby game, wasn't that the Brad Stevens one where the ball was like being inbounded here? Oh no, it was the other side. The Toronto game winner was like one of these kind of passes, right? So Anunoby did something like, what did he do? I feel like Anunoby set a screen and then kind of just floated back. Isn't that what it was? Something like that. This is what Brad Stevens likes to do. He likes to throw the ball all the way over here, thinking that no one's really going to guard that, which is probably true. And they've gotten a couple winners off of that one, so it's pretty bold. Varun, my goodness gracious, friend of the breakdown, always there with the super chat. Thank you. Do you see enough emphasis being given to off-the-ball movement at the high school and college level? Let's see here. No, I don't think so. No, I feel like it's kind of stagnant. I need to watch a little bit more high school ball. It's been a little while. I'll turn it on TV sometimes and watch, and certainly I don't see a lot of it there. But one of the keys to running a good offense is skip passing. And I don't see that at all. And part of getting skip passing is some version of movement on the weak side a little bit. But, don't forget that the hardest guy to guard when you're setting a screen is the screener. And especially if it's the weak side where the ball is going on, that's going to take the attention of the defenders. And that's when you can get some stuff. So you got to make sure that you run things like that. The college level, I still see some decent stuff off ball from some teams. But I just watched San Francisco. I wanted to watch their scores, by the way, just as another parenthetical against Virginia to see like what they were doing. And you watch a team like Virginia, and they play the pack line defense, and there's no adjustments. They just run the same way the same time every single time. So every ball screen they will high hedge. Okay, and if you want to know what that means, if you set a screen, if you set a screen, let's say, 5 sets a screen for 1. Okay, this way. X5 will step up here every single time. So what does 5 do? What they were doing? They would slip it. Before they made contact, 5 would cut right to the hoop. And that would leave X5, who's all the way over here now, scrambling behind the play every single time. And it led to wide open shots and easy shots. They did hit some tough shots too, but when you let them run their offense like that, you're going to be in trouble. And they did that. I saw they only scored 23 field goals, something like that. I didn't even finish watching them all. Of the 17 I watched, I think I saw 6 of them were off of high hedge that got them out of position. Whereas they easily could have forced the ball screener away from the screen. So if this is 1, and here comes 5 is coming to set the screen, 1 could move up here to this area here and stop 1 from using that screen, and X5 can sink here and contain the 1 if he tries to come back the other way. That's what I would do. At least mix it up. If you want a high hedge, okay, whatever. I don't like that anymore, but at least you have a chance. Well, the other thing what happened was when they high hedged, so 5 is setting the screen and he's here, and X5 ends up stepping up here. As soon as 1 gets around and the X5 starts to sprint back to get to his man, he was getting in the way of X1. X1, let's say X1 goes underneath the screen, which is they were doing too. He's going underneath the screen to get back to the ball. Okay, let me change the colors here. He's trying to do that. Let me try black. Black. X1 is trying to get underneath here. X5 is getting in his way, trying to run back as 5 is rolling to the basket. So you're setting a screen on your own man. It makes no sense to me. Kenneth Robinson, thank you so much for your very kind super chat. No question, but either way, if you have one, I'll try. I'll try and find it in the chats. Let's see. What is the app? The app is called. It's Luceo Sports makes it. The app is called Assist, and it is available in certain high schools for free if you're part of the association that they've done a deal with, and they're going to roll it out, I believe, farther as they get more penetration. Colleges as well, and then the pros use this in their huddles all the time. How do I feel about elbow series? Steve Smith used variations of it a lot at Oak Hill with Cole Anthony and Kofi Cockburn. For sure, anything elbow, I'm in. There's no question. Getting the ball at the elbow is a devastating part of the floor for a defense. And if you can get it there before you shoot it every time, you're pretty much going to be guaranteed a really good shot because you're one dribble away from the basket when you get it there. Have I had experience running a matchup zone defense? What are your thoughts on it? I run the amoeba defense, which I think is the best defense of all for zone. It's hyper aggressive. It confuses the heck out of the offense. A lot of times I think that they're playing man when it's really just zone. A lot of ways to run this. Tarkanian developed it out of UNLV. And it's really fun to run. So, I'll do a 2-3 whatever, but I think the amoeba is a great way to look it up. I think there's even almost a full thing. I might have even posted my version of how I teach it, but there's also, I think, Tarkanian has some stuff on YouTube you can find, and then one day I'll get on the court and we'll break it down. Let's see here. What school do you coach on? I used to coach at a big high school in the Valley in LA, and now I'm just too busy. And there's your answer. I'm not a coach right now because I can't move. My family's here, and so I can't just apply for a job only in one place because there's not hardly any of those. And I'm just too busy right now. I couldn't see coaching even a high school team right now and still maintaining B-ball breakdown now. But I'm going to probably try and figure it out at some point, sooner than later, I hope, or AAU or something, and develop a team there. But if you are in LA and we ever get out of this COVID lockdown, then I do have a gym on Wednesday nights where I have a cutting-edge clinic where we really just push the boundaries. So, okay. Do we want to talk a little bit about, we have about, 9 more minutes or so. You want to talk a little bit about this trade and John Wall? I mean, I have a couple thoughts, but I'll answer that in the chat while I see here. My b-ball coach got scholarship to a college in Louisiana to be a coach. Oh, that's cool. So would this work against a zone defense, Raul? Great question. Yes, I think it would. You can pick, there might be a little bit of a, you might have to move the guys around a little bit and adjust the basic starting points, but all of that pistol action and all the handoff stuff, you can target specific people in the zone, almost make them play a man. And when you do a handoff and you start to collapse that defense, the way you're spread around the perimeter, you should get a wide open shot. So you don't need to do much to change this against the zone. In fact, it'd be much easier, most likely, to get that first pass in. You don't have to worry about that. And then you can run all the same actions. There really is very little you have to change. Get on a practice court and run it, and you'll see if you have to tweak a little bit of the angles, but that's about it. This definitely works really well for zone as well. All right. Let's see. John Wall. How 2020 is it that John Wall is traded for Russell Westbrook? I feel like it doesn't bode well for Russ, that they just gave up on this so quickly, right? And I liked how he was playing before he got hurt or before he got COVID and then came back. He was starting to figure this out, I thought, a little bit on the Rockets, but if it really went as well as they had hoped, they wouldn't have traded them, right? And I'm not even talking about the wins and losses because, it was a weird season. They had to play in this bubble, all this different stuff. So, of course, it wouldn't necessarily work so well. But what we discovered by the Rockets was they hated each other. And that really doesn't help you when you're in a bubble and trying to play in the playoffs. And, if you look at the moves they made, and if you want to accept the premise that they hated each other, they wouldn't play for each other, they couldn't execute stuff, and then you kind of wonder if that's what, if he was part of that. Now, John, we have another super chat. Thank you, Varun. You're the man. Do you know any coaches or teams in other leagues or at college level that are running newer, different plays that we should watch? Jeez Louise. Yeah, but if you were to follow B-Ball Immersion on Twitter, he's the guy that shares all the cool Euro stuff. So that's where I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, that's really cool. So all the stuff in EuroLeague, a lot of those guys are great. Abramovich is great. Is he coaching? I think he's now at Cheska in Moscow. But you'll see a lot of really just out there stuff on the EuroLeague and then even in the PBA on the Philippine side. I should probably come up with a more comprehensive list of those coaches. But certainly anything in Euro. Now, the college level, I don't know. I'm having a hard time watching college. So if anybody out there knows of cutting edge coaches who are really running great stuff, let me know. I can remember that when that one team beat Virginia in the first round and they were down and doing, the modern stuff. I like that. You know what? I even didn't mind USF. I didn't mind what they're running. That was very much pistol action, spread, floor, get some shooters open. So let's see. The Wizards won the trade. Westbrook with Beal, who can play off the ball, versus Harden, who is very ball dominant. Listen, the Wizards are better because they didn't have Wall, so you add Russ to that team, and yeah, they're better. And they're in the East for the first time. So let's see what Russ can do against slightly lesser competition, at least across the board in the Eastern Conference. But I don't know. It just makes me wonder like what his legacy is going to be going forward. And John Wall is sort of a very similar version of Russ. Struggle with shooting from distance. I wonder if I would say that when John Wall is healthy, he was faster than Russ, which seems impossible. But he brings that kind of stuff to the table. I think Wall at times has been better as a defender. And who knows? I mean, have we all seen him working out? Are we all agreed that he looks like he's healthy and ready to go 100%? Is that what we're thinking about Wall? I mean, yeah, he hasn't played in 2 years. A little bit has leaked. We've seen a little bit of footage, but I don't know what to make of it yet. And certainly there's going to be a long rust period because nothing can simulate an NBA game. And I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get into shape and to not into shape, but into rhythm. So it's an interesting take, but I definitely feel like the Wizards should come out of this better than they were. But I don't know. It's like coaches kind of move around with Russ and don't always have their job afterwards. So we'll see. Yeah. Anyhow, what else? Any other questions? Well, we have a couple more minutes to wrap up. No, okay, yeah. Hoops Vision 68 is also really good on YouTube. There's a couple other places. I don't want to give away too many of the competitors out there, but no one really does. I don't think exactly what I do anyway, right? I mean, a lot of times you'll see like the Jimmy High Rollers and those guys are interesting, but I don't do that stuff. I'm not. That's not what I do anyway. But anyhow. So anyway, let me know in the comments if you like this kind of content. I'm really excited. I want to make this into a thing where every Wednesday night I come on here and we break down, I'll do a baseline out of bounds play. I'll do, just regular offensive sets. I catch my eye, and just the idea of how you play with these things and how you can, discover new stuff. I mean, I'll never forget when I ran the triangle offense and I had freshman teams run it better than the varsity teams some years. And I'll never forget one time the ball's on the wing. You know what? Maybe should I diagram it? Let's diagram it. Let's go back. I can remember one time where we had the ball. Here's a triangle, right? And there's a triangle. Guy's on top and the guy's over here. So the ball was here. And I can remember, there's 4 basic options we used, but they got stuck. They didn't have anything. They couldn't make the pass they wanted to. So this guy dribbled to the corner. We had never, ever worked on this really before. Okay? The guy, oh my goodness gracious, let me fix that arrow. He dribbled to the corner. He hand off coming out of the corner to this guy. At that exact moment, this guy cut back door. He threw the pass right to him for a layup, and it was like they had worked on it for 100,000 times before, for hours before. And we'd never done that in my life. But it was rooted in the fact that when we worked on this stuff and our options, we played it just loose. We played it with the 3-line drills, where at one point, I'm sure somebody did a handoff and somebody cut backdoor like that, and when they discovered that stuff live. And that's really where it gets really exciting for me as a coach, because I don't want to control everything like that. I want them to discover what they can do on their own, because, again, I'm not out there playing. I can't go and play for them. They need to do it. And there's something really exciting about that. That's what and I remember the team erupted it too, because we all realized, in the moment, where that come from, but let's do, you can bet your butt we put that in. Anyway, that's where we get to all the exciting, discoveries you can make on offense. And then defensively too, there are so many dogmatic rules we have that maybe aren't really great, that maybe aren't the best way to do it. And if you keep your eyes and ears open, you might see a player do something that a coach from 20 years ago would blow the whistle and make him run for doing. But you know what? It might be better. It might be faster to turn that way and maybe turn your head, maybe lose sight of the ball for a second, but you're quicker to get to the position and right back in position to defend. So anyhow, very close to 800,000. I had a little bit of a lull, I guess. I got to get a little busy and I'm trying to, keep the content going. But we're going to get going on a much better a schedule coming up. And you know what? The season's starting. Can you believe this? It's starting tomorrow or whatever. So once the games start, it's going to be on. We're going to get videos out every day, every other day, really a lot. So be prepared to be in there. Again, don't miss out on this membership I'm going to be launching, because it's going to be probably some sort of 2 or 3 live shows a month. Maybe once a week we'll do a live show Q&A. Well, maybe I'll bring some people in as well to have discussions, and we'll figure that out. Because it just would help. It almost help me out. It'd be $2 for a month. and maybe just throw me a bone, help me do this, because I got to keep the lights on, and it's been harder and harder to do that as we go forward. I'll just be candid with you guys. With the way stuff is going with the monetizations on YouTube, it's been really, really hard. So it would just really help me, to keep doing this, which I would love to do and keep doing it for you guys. And we'll make it into a community. I want to make sure we interact, we know each other, and it can be tight knit, even though if it's a lot of people there. And it'll just be a way for you to kind of, let me know you appreciate what I'm doing, and me to give back to you guys in meaningful ways with special content, non-NBA content, because that's the key for the membership. I can't use the NBA footage. But we'll do all sorts of really interesting stuff and informational stuff, and more importantly, interaction with me. Now, somebody's calling out. Can I do a collab with Coach Daniel? I gotta see if he's back. Is he back, or is he still at college? Coach Daniel is in my backyard, and thinking basketball. We can look at that. Ben Taylor would never do a video with this chump. You're in my live stream, and you're going to call me a chump? Interesting. Okay. I will just say this. There are a lot of imitators out there, and a lot of people tend to sound a lot like what I say on some of these videos that I see. And you might know what I'm talking about, and I think that's great. And I would take that as a great compliment to me when I watch those things. Sometimes, though, I have to scratch my head because some of them are not even close to being right. And hey, it's a free country. You can start your own YouTube channel and do whatever you like. But, and I don't want to call the coaching card. I mean, I was a high school coach for a long time, but I've also spent a lot of time around a lot of the NBA teams and college teams and observing and learning and just absorbing. You're damn right I'm fired up. And so, there's a certain knowledge you can glean from that you don't have if you haven't ever coached before and worked with like pros and worked with high school and worked with college players, which I've done. And as a result, you could be wildly wrong. And it sounds good, but it's not right. And that's why you want to come here, because I have the experience and I've done this for long enough. And I've learned, listen, watch my old videos from 10 years ago. They're terrible. I didn't know anything. And I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything. So it's taken a long time to get to this point, but that's what we want to do. I think we're getting close to the end. It was a good hour. I got to go make dinner for the fam. But again, thank you guys so much, Varun and Kenneth. Thank you for the super chats. I really, really, really appreciate it. Don't forget about this membership, okay? It would really help me out. I would love it. We're going to keep, it's going to be like $250 a month, nothing. It'll be nothing. You'll just forget about it once you sign up. But at least you'll forget about the price. But we're going to give you a lot of extra content and create a community. I really want to do that here because I don't want to drag you out to other platforms and all the stuff. Meanwhile, stay tuned for that too, because I'm going to be launching a show probably on Locker Room. That's the app that I've been using. We'll probably use Hot Mic so we can all be synced up and I can do some play-by-play during some games throughout the year. So stay tuned for that, because that was actually fun too. So we're going to do a lot of different things. Gigolo Puff, you're the man as always. Thank you so much for being out there. And to everybody, I can't appreciate it more. I will see you guys next Wednesday. We'll do this again. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You win.